Hi everyone, Sion's here with the Xeon Federation, bringing you SD Gundam G Generation Genesis, with a good friend of mine named Mr. Clone, if that's his real name.
On both birth certificate and social security card, it says Mr. Clone, with the middle name being a period.
So is this a Mr. Torg situation here?
Sort of.
Fair enough. So, we're going to be playing some SD Gundam G Generation. Mr. Clone here has never actually... He's vaguely aware of the Gundam universe. That's probably the best way to put it. He knows some things, like probably the Guntank's the most he knows.
I mean, I have played a little of Gundam Breaker, but that's about it.
So, we're going to introduce him in a very watered-down version, just because this is going to be a lot more fun than just watching, like, 20 hours of videos. Don't get me wrong, they're good, but this is going to be a lot more condensed down. So, we will get started here with the new game. So, we do have access to all the DLC that's been released on the Singapore version. Now, we will be playing this on a power scale. So that means we'll only use these DLC suits if we're in the era that dictates them. So certain suits are acceptable, other ones are not. Just flat out, that's going to be the best way for us to do this. Like, for example, the Hot Scramble is probably one of the strongest suits in the entire game. We're not going to be touching that thing for quite some time. And this lovely lady right there, that was the she was the singer for the intro song for this. So what we're going to be doing here is we set a ground rule, because you can create characters in this game. We are only creating 2 characters because they can break early game pretty easily. So, well, there will be one representing both of us for this. We messed around with it a bit, so we already know where we're going, so we don't take up too much of your guys' time, just because there is a lot to it. Mr. Dot. One of these days you'll actually get that right. Having a little trouble there?
The circle is throwing me off.
I don't know, that sounds like a personal problem. And that met. So virtually when you create your character, you pick a birthday and a blood type, which changes your skills that you get at the beginning and that you learn. Heavy rock. Alright, so there's his character. Looks like a tool.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
Well,
I've been trying my best to hold back here, but, I mean, if the gloves are off...
But neither of us are wearing gloves, so how could they be off to begin with? You forget who you're talking to.
Apparently.
Then I went with that. And now it's time for my theme song, which is buried somewhere out here. Right there.
Buried exactly in the middle.
Yep. Yep. So going with the whole idea, with the whole power scale thing, we get access to 2 suits from the DLC. So, first things first, put you at the master spot. Now, you have a choice here. You can stay with the Phoenix Zero, which is a pretty decent suit, or you could do, where is he? Sharzaku, which, see, like I said, it's within line of power.
Right.
Or Gun Tank Early type.
I think we all know what this is going to be. I don't even think this needs to be asked.
So Gun Tank it is.
Yes.
And then we'll swap you out, put me in there, and That's another Phoenix Zero, so we'll swap you out because I actually am a big fan of Sharazaku. And then just so we can keep... There we go. Just to keep it a bit balanced. The last thing we're going to do is move you. We'll actually swap you out. Because I don't know about you, but I like a little singing on my trips. In the ocean that is space. Some space shanties, if you will. Alright, so we're going to get into knee-deep in this now. So we will be playing in chronological order of the series. So we are starting with the original Gundam. So there is a lot of dialogue in some of these. Unfortunately, we cannot skip it. So I will try to explain since I will be our Lorax here. Well, I know my lore. At least I think I do. And if not, I got a Wikipedia page open up in my pocket. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. So virtue what they're talking about here, simply put, Earth got overpopulated, so they shot people into space. And I mean, they literally forced people into space because of the overpopulation, which is kind of an understandable thing. And no, we are the Zeon Federation. We are not the Principality of Zeon. There is a difference.
Yeah, I had that question. Considering what happens next.
Well, that's actually kind of the beauty of the Gundam story, and you'll see it progress, especially when we get to like one of my personal favorite 08 MS team. You'll see that the people that write Gundam know, in my personal opinion, know how to write a good fictional war. Because, and you see parts of it in here too, in the original, neither side is faultless. Because, again, it's war. It's all based on perspective.
And, of course, the government was sending people into space and forcing them to live there.
And when you're away from space for so long, well, from Earth, it's like, why are we regulated by people who aren't even up here? It's kind of actually a parallel to Britain and the U.S. colonies. You know, U.S. was over across the world. It's like, well, why are we listening to people who don't even come over here? So that's actually kind of how that worked. But I think Zeon kind of went a little far with this part. The Principality of Zeon literally drops a colony that they had gassed and killed everyone in onto Earth. And those colonies are big. Like, they're, because I'm not good with conversions, I'll just do the kilometers. One colony is 6.4 kilometers in diameter and 36 kilometers in length. Honestly, I'm surprised. And this thing drops on Sydney, Australia. There's actually a hole in Australia at the bottom of the sea. Oh, come on. How could I not do that joke?
Of course you could not do that joke.
So, virtually, that was near the start of what is officially known as the 1 Year War. Because this war, even though it kills a lot of people, it only lasts about a year. Because it starts January 1st of UC 79. Yay, Zaku's. Like, this is just a weird angle because I know they have to do it this way. But it's so weird that we saw them on the cliff. Now we're looking at still the angled bird's eye view of them scouting the area. Ghost Jeep.
It's a spooky Jeep.
Spooky space. Spacey space noise.
Also, her name is Frabao.
Yep. Yes, it is.
And Haro.
Haro is a mascot. He's been in about every Gundam out there. The only one the only two I can think of off the top of my head that he's not like fully in is G Gundam and Gundam Wing. Those are the only two. He might have not been in Gundam X. But he's been a very staple character, to the point that that's one of some, like a lot of times you see Sunrise's logo, that's in it, kind of like the Pixar lamp, except it talks.
It'd be horrifying if the Pixar lamp talked. Could you imagine what it'd say about that poor little eye?
See, when you said that, the first thing that went into my mind is the brave little toaster, who actually had a lamp character.
Also, in case you didn't know, Zaku's are equipped with the instant transmission ability.
No, that's just Scotty from Star Trek beaming people around because he can. Yes, just how Michael Bay portrays all of our soldiers. They disobey orders right away. Because not gonna lie, he's not that great of a director, but I wouldn't mind him doing a Gundam movie simply for the fact of his effects team. Like, virtually let us just get his effects team, because no matter how bad the Transformers movies, a lot of the effects can be really cool. Yeah, and this is one of the weird issues here that I like. Not weird issues, but one of the cool things I like is they are actually showing war is not simple and cut. I mean, that Zaku is firing on civilians, even though it doesn't really look like it because of this angle, but he is actually firing on civilians and trying to kill them. That's not okay.
And now we're in space.
Shar Aznable. This man is a legend. And I'm not talking about just in this world. I'm talking about even in Japan. To the point where there's actually tropes based off him that he started. Plus, I mean, look at that stylish mask. I love how cheesy that looks. That just looks so corny.
Okay, now we're in the suit.
Yep, so at this point, Amuro virtually says, we need to fight back to save the civilians. He jumped into the Gundam. And this is actually a very good rendition of it coming to life, in a sense. One thing I wish they could show that they don't in here is he's actually reading the instruction manual as he's piloting it. Because you don't just get into one of those suits and I know everything. The original music. You gotta love it. So, certain characters in certain suits will actually get cutaway attacks. So, we're finally playing the game. Like I said, I do apologize for the expedition. Whatever explanations that go on here. So, alright, that first thing that popped up is a challenge. If you do it, we earn more money. Some of them are pretty easy, some of them are pretty hard, but money is money. So, yep. You gotta move him into range.
Okay, so it's kind of standard RPG style.
Yep. It says you need to defeat him with the beam saber, so you have to get in one more range close to him. One more range. Or finalize it and not do anything. Pass your turn.
Oh, I could actually move again, huh?
Well, no, you can change. Like, you didn't finalize his movement. You can move one more space.
No, I moved the maximum range.
No, you didn't. Get one more space. You can either evade or counter. Also, the difficulty that you set these missions on, these types of units are actually scaled to that difficulty. Now, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong because I haven't seen them all, but I don't think there's any copied animations between suits. Fired and he missed.
So I hit evade and I stood still.
Well, obviously the guy learned how to fire via stormtroopers. Yeah, see, you had one more spot you could have moved. Beam saber him. Gaslight him. He's gonna punch you.
That's great. I have a sword though.
I'm gonna punch you in the schnoz.
You.
Oh no, he's heat. Yeah, they use that thing called a heat axe. Remember those videos where they superheated those knives like 1,000 degrees? Think of one of those, but like a couple stories tall. Yep. Now he's the only unit we have. No, Heat Hawk, not Heat Axe.
I'm gonna do a counterattack. Oh, sir, you've made a mistake.
Let's catch the wreckage. Woo! I will say, I love this music, but you can hear how dated this is. This is from 1979. He thinks that's now after we already defeated the first one.
Ah, yes, the controversial one at a time strat.
Not fight and run? I mean, that's an option, right? Well, that's not really an option. Are you gonna try to pull him to you instead? Yeah, and terrain does do effects. I don't think you can counter him from that range. Yeah, you can't. You don't have... Dodge! And you gotta think about how this kid actually feels. He just took a life.
Right.
Like that, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He actually killed that guy. And the big thing about Gundam, most of the pilots are teenagers. Like, I want to say Amuro might be 16. Why don't you just get one closer to him?
That's as far as I can move.
Was it?
Yeah. I can only move 2 squares forward. It shows the range around me that I can attack.
No, you can move multiple. You can move that entire square distance. Wow, that's probably the most useful the Vulcan cannons have ever been. No, you can move more than 2 squares.
Definitely a lot more useful than his giant machine gun.
I'm trying to think of the rounds on those, because there is... So this is actually one of the coolest systems. As you do successful rolls virtually, you know, for hit and misses, your character virtually gets more confident. So he starts building up vigor, which means he can land critical strikes.
So I'm guessing now that it's high, when I hit him again, it'll be a critical and...
By the way, that blue aura around you isn't your movement.
That's my attack range.
No, it's not. That blue aura is your leader range.
Oh.
So if you have other units in that range, they can do group attacks with you. That's why your character having that master slot increased by 1 means that that aura is further out. Actually, are we fighting stormtroopers?
Apparently.
They couldn't hit the broadside of a space barn. Let's finish with that beam saber. Let's show him who's boss.
Am I supposed to hit him with the beam saber?
I know he killed the one guy with the beam saber, but I mean, might as well. I mean, he's got 1 hit left, and might as well make it a cool looking hit.
So I'm assuming I am supposed to defeat him.
Yeah. No, the game would tell you if it's a different objective. Most objectives, though, are beat said person. Which is kind of lame, but in this type of game, it actually works a lot better. Yeah, you were supposed to beat him with that. Because we just got 5,000 capital. I like that's generic capital.
Well, I mean, what are you going to call it? I mean...
Ghostbusters? I want to point out that was actually the game. That was not anything messing up. Look at Mr. Chin. So Char is known as the Red Comet because in a battle that we don't get to see here, called the Battle of Loom, he by himself takes down 8 battleships. So he's like rumored to go 3 times faster.
Huh.
I'll put it this way, I don't know if it's the way it happened, but I'm positive Warhammer took the idea that the orcs paint everything red to go faster from him. Because this predates Warhammer. Well, Warhammer 40k to my knowledge. But yeah, these Zaku's, one of the things is these things are made of steel.
Just regular old steel.
Yep. But look how big they are. So this guy here, he's a captain that's injured. So he can't perform his duty. So instead we have Bright Noah.
Mm.
I just realized I don't think you'll be able to fight in the first match.
Really?
Because it's space and you're in a... Oh no, we have... No, we can. Because they provide us with these new items called... Because this game has something called an SFS, which is virtually a transport that you can sit on. So we can put the gun tank on top of that to be in space. Because certain units can't perform in certain environments. Which is really stupid because the gun tank in the original series, there is actual footage from the original Gundam of gun tanks flying in space and it looks so derpy. So that's another fellow pilot right there. Ryu Jose. I'm not even joking, that is his name.
Oh my god. Jose.
I can't make that up. Well, I mean, one of the DLC characters we got is his name? It's like Jobs.
Jobs.
Something like that. It's really weird. There's Salem Mass. You can always assume if they have an important name like that, they're someone important to the series.
Oh god, no.
What, you don't like the salmon-colored suit? So virtually they're talking that these two actually have a past. Do they actually say it here? Yep, they're brother and sister. Which she thought he was dead. Because Char's got this really long backstory, and the more we go into this, the more you'll see what it is. Oh, actually, I just remembered. There's one unit you'll see in about 5 missions that you know very well. So yeah, they don't know. They have absolutely no idea that Amuro's like virtually who Amuro is. He virtually just jumped into the suit because for some reason no one in the military thought.
Piloted by a child.
Yep. Good with machines. That is what he's known for. So, one thing you'll see, and it kind of is interesting, is at the end of the day, what really matters: the pilot's skill, or the pilot's, or the suit itself. And you'll actually kind of see a balance of that.
This child. He's quite young, but, you know, the hell with it.
We'll send him into space. We'll send him into active combat because of reasons. So that is our battleship, White Base. It is the first it's the first of its kind. There are no other ships as of this point, to my knowledge, that is the same.
I have to blow up the missiles, don't I?
Yep. So yeah, like I said, he's injured. He can't be in command because missiles attacking. And we're gonna send Ryu out in a fighter jet virtually. See? So yeah, now you get access to more of the Gundam's arsenal. So now you have access to its beam rifle, which we didn't have until recently. So, alright. Well, at this point, we're coming across that time. We're going to call this an episode. So we'll start fresh from this point. As always, I am Cy Owens from the Zeon Federation with my good friend, Mr. Clone here.
Right.
And as always, have a wonderful day.